Hi, I am the administrator of Housing Rentals in the Inland Empire. It's a Facebook group. If you're not already part of it, you can find it on Facebook. Just search out groups Housing Rentals in the Inland Empire. If you don't know what that is, then maybe you don't need to be part of that group. But suffice it to say, it's for the Inland Empire. The Inland Empire is the area in California commonly referred to that consists of San Bernardino and Riverside counties. Okay, it's a new group. We in the last 36 hours we've already got 40 members, which is actually pretty darn good. And we will be focusing on rentals in the Inland Empire. So if you don't live in the Inland Empire, you may not want to be part of this group unless you intend to move there someday. Now, the purpose of the group is to it's hard sometimes for people to find rentals, and they use Zillow and Trilla and other sites, and maybe they're not having any luck. And a lot of times, private landlords who are a little bit more not leery, a little bit more flexible on rules and regulations and lease terms and stuff, don't generally advertise on those things because they're private landlords. They don't have the money that, let's say, a Coldwell Banker or some other real estate agency may have. So anyway, excuse me. The purpose of this video right now, if you haven't figured out the title yet, is tips for renters. Okay, we'll probably do one for landlords at some point in time. Just to let you know that although we are not lawyers or experts, you can certainly ask your questions in our group and let the group give you answers based on their experience, things that have happened to them, as well as myself and other members of the site can give their input. So if you have a question regarding maybe getting your deposit back, or not getting your deposit back, or is this right or is this legal, what do I do? Anyway, here's I've narrowed this down into a few categories here. Yeah, if you see me looking down, it's because I'm looking at my notes on a few tips for you renters. Okay, the first tip is avoid this common scam. The common scam is somebody will post a picture, usually it's stolen from another site, that has a house for rent. It'll show you the outside of the house. They may even show you the inside of the house, depending on what pictures were available for them to steal. They'll give you the address. They'll give you some great rent amount. Let's say rent for this type of home normally runs, we'll just say $2,500, and they're offering it for $1,800. Now, that should be warning sign number one. But here's where they really get you. They not right away, but they'll give you this email application to fill out. You know, they'll want your name and blah blah blah. You know, nothing too elaborate, nothing that's would make you jump out and say, hey, what do you need that for already? Why do you need my social security number? Nothing like that. You'll get back an email from them saying, oh, we'd be happy to rent to you, and they'll usually have a religious overtone to it. That's probably just to gain your trust. And at some point in time, they'll say, well, go ahead, drive by the property, take a look at it. My job is taking me out of state, so I can't really show you the place right now. So you may go and drive by it and go, wow, this really looks great and all that. They may even tell you don't disturb the tenant that's in there right now. They're going to be leaving. Any number of things they could tell you. And at some point, you may decide, hey, this is what you want to do. At that point, they're going to ask you for a deposit. Now, because again, they're out of state, they're going to say, I'm sorry, here's a bank account number, deposit $1,000 or whatever into this bank account, and we'll give you some paperwork or some move-in dates, and we'll mail you the keys, and something like that. You're never going to hear from them again. Once you go, and they usually don't want you to do it any way than going into the bank and physically doing it. They don't want to check. They don't want you to do anything else. They want the money deposited into a bank. So it'll usually be a common bank like Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, something like that, which will be easy for you to find and locate. They give you a bank account number. You say, okay, I want to deposit $1,000 into this account. And you do it. And you'll never hear from them again. Once they take the money out, they'll probably close the bank account. This is a scam. It's a common scam. The way to avoid knowing if it's a scam or not, if they can't show you the house, if they can't take you inside the house for any reason at all, doesn't matter what it is, avoid it. Run. Run like they've got the plague. Okay? That's generally a scam. You can report it, but it won't do you any good. Just like I said, yeah, even if you report them after they've taken the money, that they've closed the bank account, who knows what name they use, it's over, it's done with, they're not going to catch them. And the police, sadly, are not going to invest a lot of time in this because they have bigger fish to catch. Okay, so avoid this whenever possible. Okay, next thing on pets. Be very careful if you have pets. Sometimes they will charge you a pet rent. Now, some states do not permit a pet rent. So if you're check your state local laws. I believe California, since we're in California, is one of the states that does not permit pet rent. Pet deposit is different. Okay, so be leery. If they want pet rent, in other words, they want to charge you an extra $35 a month for your pet, no, they can't do that, or at least make sure. Okay, again, I believe California does not permit that, but double check. Now, here's a common misconception with pet deposits. A pet deposit can be $50, $100, $250 or whatever, and it could be per pet. So if it's $250 and you have, let's say, 4 cats, that's going to be a lot of money. If you're willing to pay that, that's fine, because pet deposits are non-refundable. Okay, this is not like the deposit you put on the house. You give them $1,500, and if everything's back the way it used to be, then you get the $1,500 back, which rarely happens. But either way, pet deposits are non-refundable. Okay, so if you give the pet deposit, don't think you're getting it back, because you're not. It's not going to happen. Pet deposits are non-refundable. Again, check your local laws. This may vary, but to my understanding, pet deposits are non-refundable unless obviously it specifies so. If it specifies so in your lease in writing, maintain that lease, and we'll get the leases in just a moment. Maintain the lease, so in case there's any argument, say, hey, look right here on line under section B, line 8, it says pet deposits are refundable if blah 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 blah. So keep that in mind in case you read that. Okay, leases. Okay, make sure you know your lease. Know how long the lease is, know what the terms of the lease are, make sure there aren't any surprises. Don't sign a lease until you've read it. If you have a question, ask it, get it clarified, make sure you document at least somewhere where you have it, who you spoke to and on what day, and what they said when you said, hey, what about this? Okay, the lease should have everything that you need to know. If there's something that's too vague about it, then you need to ask questions. It could be, okay, let's say you're in a situation where utilities, you don't know which ones are being paid, and you make the assumption that the water is being paid, and it's not. Then your water gets shut off, and you don't know why. Well, it's because you didn't pay the bill, and it was on the lease. Okay, the lease may also have lots of different aspects on it, that maybe you are to maintain the yard. Maybe you're to hire somebody to clean the carpet twice a year. Again, it's between you and the landlord, so read your lease, because if you break your lease, it can cost you. And if you get some kind of a judgment or eviction or something else like that on your record, it's going to be very difficult for you to rent again, because landlords are not going to trust you, especially when they see you broke their lease. Now, I mentioned this just a moment ago, utilities. Utilities are important. Read your lease. Just because your rent is lower than what you thought, and the reason may be that you're paying that for a utility that normally is paid for. Let's say, in most cases, whether it be a house or an apartment, it always is an apartment, but, that the trash is paid by the landlord. But what if you're paying the trash? Maybe that's why the rent's lower, because you're paying the trash. What if you're paying the sewer? Okay, find out what utilities are on there. Again, it should be on your lease. If you don't see it on there, ask. Say, okay, hey, what utilities are paid for? Okay, so you understand. Okay, this one's roommates, and this is really important because roommate situations can really get ugly. Whoever you're getting at, I generally don't recommend roommates, because even though you guys have been lifelong friends, it may be a situation where you haven't lived together, so that's an entirely different situation. And if you're like boyfriend and girlfriend, what if you break up? Okay, roommate situations get ugly, especially if one of them leaves and you say, hey, you're bound by the lease. Do you really think the landlord's going to go after the roommate who left when he still has you in the house. No, you're going to be responsible for the rent. It doesn't matter. The landlord's not going to go after the roommate. The landlord's going to go after you. It's going to be you that needs to go after the roommate, which is going to involve probably suing them in court, which is going to take time and money of yourself. So be very careful about roommate situations. When you have roommate situations, make sure you understand who pays what or how much. Make sure that you should always get everything in writing so there's no misunderstandings. Say, okay, everybody pays, all right, there's 5 of us, and all 5 of us will split the utilities 5 ways. So you pay 1/5 of the gas bill, you pay 1/5 of the electric bill, blah, 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 blah. What happens is somebody brings in a partner. Is it now split 6 ways? Again, you need to know all that. Roommate situations can be really touch and go. So again, you need to be very careful that you and this new roommate totally agree on everything, and if need be, everything's in writing. Make sure the landlord understands, and keep in mind, if one of you should leave the dwelling before the lease ends, the landlord's not going to care about that person that left. The landlord only cares that he or she gets their rent money, and so you're going to be on the hook for it because you're the easiest one to get hold of. Okay, so again, make sure that you guys have an understanding. If need be, you may have to sue this former roommate. You could end up losing the dwelling yourself just because they left. So make sure you guys are in agreement on everything. Another little tip is deposits. Okay, I mentioned pet deposits. Okay, your deposit is, let's say your rent is $800. Your first month's rent, and then a deposit, maybe the last month and a deposit. Check your local laws. Some states, or maybe even some counties, I don't know, may not allow you to take first, last, and a deposit. It may be just first and deposit or first and last. It depends. Make sure you understand your deposit. Make sure you understand that when you leave, what the terms are. In California, the landlord has 21 days after you leave or after you return the keys. Okay, if you leave on the 1st, but you don't give them the keys back to the 3rd, guess what? You left on the 3rd because you still have possession because you still have keys. When you relinquish possession, the landlord has 21 days to give you an itemized receipt of where the money of your deposits went. If you have any argument, you do it within that time frame. If, for any reason, the landlord does not provide you with that itemized receipt stating where your rent went within that 21-day period, then you are entitled to your full deposit back. Again, make sure you understand everything. Make sure you know everything you need to know. You document dates and everything else that's important. Okay? Deposits are always an ugly situation when they leave because, let's face it, you're never going to get your entire deposit back. I don't care how clean it is, it's just not going to happen. Now, it may be worth fighting for, it may not. Okay? So it's entirely up to you. The last thing I want to mention, and this happens to be a common problem, is access. The landlord is allowed access to your house or your apartment or whatever for maintenance reasons or anything else. The landlord is not entitled, though, just to show up whenever he or she wants and barge in and say, oh, hey, I'm here to change a light bulb. Okay? Understand your local laws. Understand how your county or your state applies to this, but the landlord cannot just walk in. The landlord has to have some kind of agreement when you can come in, or when he or she can come in, or that he or she can let themselves in. Okay, make sure you understand that. Make sure you know what those rules are. But again, the landlord cannot just come into your home. You're renting that; it's your place, so you need to make sure you understand when he or she can enter the dwelling to do anything, even something you requested done. Just because you requested something done, now the other argument can be if you don't let them in to fix that, then they can't work just when hey, come to, when you say they have a schedule too. So you need to work that out with them, but the landlord cannot just show up and come in and start demanding to do work that needs to be done, whether it's something that he or she needs to do or it's something you requested to be done. Okay, so keep that in mind. Again, if you have any questions, go to the Facebook group, Housing Rentals in the Inland Empire, and you can ask your question directly on the site once you join. There's no membership fees or anything else. Just click join. As soon as I see the notification that you requested to join, I'm going to click yes. The only exception will be if I clearly can see maybe you're some kind of a scam or some kind of porn site or something like that. Other than that, then I'm going to automatically approve it. Okay, so there's no real issue there. You're not going to have to wait long. It'll get approved usually within minutes, but definitely within 24 hours. But usually within minutes. If I'm up and I see the notification, I'm going to approve it. Okay, again, you can ask your questions there. You can seek out rentals there. What we do there real quickly is I amended the site because a lot of sites I've been on that are maybe city generated, and like in the city I live and work in, people are saying, hey, does anybody know of a house for rent or apartment for rent? I need a 2-bedroom this, or I need a 1-bedroom this, or a 4. And usually nobody has an answer. And the post disappears and the person never gets their answer. And that happens a lot. So I created this site basically in the Inland Empire, since that is where I live and it's too widespread for me to try and do anything else. So what I've asked the people in the group to do, and the group is less than 2 days old as of this date, December 28th, is take pictures of for rent signs they see, or if they see something, just post it on the group so the group can see it. Please try and post as many details as you can. Obviously, the location would be important. Some for rent signs don't necessarily have the amount. Say, hey, I saw a for rent sign in front of this yellow house at 4th and Main Street in Rancho Cucamonga, so I thought I'd post it here, but I don't have any other details. Okay, well, if somebody's looking for a rental in Rancho Cucamonga, obviously they can go to that intersection, find the for rent sign, and get the information. Or if the picture that the person took is posted has a phone number on it, that would help. Now, that's not always easy to do while you're driving around, but again, please do the best you can. As I see posts that might be relevant, let's say on Zillow or Trilla or Craigslist or something else, and I'm a little bit leery about Craigslist, but still, I will post those there as well to get the ball rolling. Anybody can post any rental they see for their landlords. If you're out there, you can certainly post your rentals on there too. In fact, we would encourage you to do so. Okay, so again, if you have any questions or whatever, you can ask them on the site. If you're seeking a rental, this would be a great place to start looking. Right now, there's not a whole lot of information on there. And if you see a rental, please post it here. You'll be helping somebody else. Maybe you need a 3-bedroom and you found a 2. Well, guess what? Maybe somebody else needs that 2-bedroom and you could help them get that. And who knows, as the landlords find out about this group, the landlords may start showing up saying, hey, wow, hey, I have a house in the Inland Empire and I'm not getting a lot of takers on it, and it costs too much to hire some management company. Let me try this. It's free. Okay, so again, let's see what we can do. Let's get the site growing. It's less than 2 days old. I already have 40 members, so I think we're doing well. Okay, once again, I am the administrator of the Facebook group Housing Rentals in Inland Empire, and you can ask me any questions on the group page itself. Or if you have a general rental question, post it on the site and the group can answer. Like I said, there's 39 other members as of this moment right now who can potentially answer your question. So you might get a lot of input or a lot of different answers that may be able to help you. You have a nice day.